But first tonight, the prosecution has rested its case in the murder trial of a local father accused of killing his 10-year-old daughter.
This as the judge considers a new request from the defense. Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian is live in Providence now with more on that request and what a final witness had to say today about the death of Alita DePina. Kim?
Well, Shannon and Mike, today the defense asked the judge to acquit their client George DePina in this murder trial. They say the prosecution has failed to provide enough evidence to prove that he was responsible for his daughter Alita's death, but the prosecution says the evidence is clear.
The state at this point in time rests.
The prosecution buttoning up their case as week 2 of the murder trial of George DePina comes to a close. The Pawtucket man charged with first-degree murder in the 2013 death of his 10-year-old daughter, Alita. The cause of her death, a hole in her small intestine. Experts testifying it was caused by blunt force trauma. But the defense says DePina did not strike that fatal blow.
At issue here, there is absolutely no evidence that George DePina caused this perforation, and for that, I move for a judgment of acquittal.
The perforation happened immediately, happened 12 to 24 hours within her death, and we know that she was alone with the defendant during that period of time.
The judge set to rule on that motion Monday morning. Meanwhile, jurors wrapped up their final day of court, hearing testimony for the third day from former Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Christina Stanley. On Wednesday, she testified the manner of Alita's death was homicide. On Thursday, the defense asked if Alita could have suffered her fatal injury accidentally.
Children can also suffer blunt force trauma to the abdomen and get a small bowel perforation from a bike fall. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Stanley says she was given no history of Alita falling off her bike or having a different accident. The prosecution argues DePina's physical abuse of his daughter, some of that captured on video and played for the jury, is what killed her. And the final witness to testify today, a pediatric surgeon who talked about Alita's injury and what the final hours of her young life would have been like. We'll bring you that sound coming up new at 6. For now, reporting live in Providence, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.
Lawyers for a Pawtucket man on trial for allegedly killing his own daughter asking the judge to acquit their client. They say the prosecution did not present enough evidence to prove that George DePina killed 10-year-old Alita back in 2013. Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian was in the courtroom. She joins us now with the latest developments on the case.
Well, the judge is currently considering a motion from the defense to acquit George DePina of the murder of his daughter. The defense saying there's nothing to prove that DePina inflicted her fatal injury. The prosecution says the evidence is clear. The prosecution rests as the defense seeks to have George DePina cleared of a first-degree murder charge, arguing he did not cause an injury to daughter Alita DePina's small intestine that experts say killed her.
At issue here, there is absolutely no evidence that George DePina caused this perforation.
The defense not denying DePina abused his little girl, but arguing a bike fall could have caused her death.
He was the only one with her. He was the only one who had care, custody, and control. There is no accidental mechanism. There's nothing presented about a bike.
It is most likely a direct blow that caused the trauma.
The jury hearing from a pediatric surgeon about the hole in Alita's intestines that caused her to die, leaking fluid into her abdomen.
A few drops of blood or bile or intestinal content irritates the peritoneum severely, very rapidly, and causes severe pain.
The doctor saying Alita had a pint of fluid in her abdomen when she died. That doctor also testifying he believes Alita's injury could have been treated if she had been brought to the hospital sooner. But on the first day of trial, the ER doctor who treated her on the day of her death said when George brought her to the hospital, she was already dead. Now the court has been recessed for the weekend. They will return on Monday when the judge is expected to make her decision on that motion for acquittal. In Providence, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.